A woman is found murdered inside her home in the state of Washington. It looks like a robbery that was interrupted, but looks can totally be deceiving. Is this as simple as a robbery? Or was somebody hired to make it look this way and to get rid of a wife for insurance money? Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, the Wednesday edition. If you are new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kai, and I want to thank you for stopping by. Please go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And don't be shy to go back in the back catalog either. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder. In my Patreon, you get extra episode extras like pictures, court docs, whatever comes with the case, and so much more. Patreon.com/love and murder. Now let's get into this midweek mini. On March 23rd, 2024, at 6:54 p.m., police responded to a call that a neighbor had placed saying that someone had broken into her next-door neighbor's home on the 18,000 block of Northeast 119th Street in Brush Prairie, Washington, which is about a 2.5-hour drive away from Seattle, Washington. It's actually closer to Portland, Oregon. So anyway, the neighbor was saying someone broke into the house and shot the woman who was inside. So police rushed over and they found the woman, identified her as 60-year-old Lindy Rummell, and realized that she was deceased. She had a gunshot wound on her neck as well as a, quote, .22 caliber cast-in and fired projectiles in the kitchen and living room. This is what they found. So they found the casings for a .22 caliber weapon in the kitchen and the living room. Upon inspecting Lindy closer, they found that not only had she been shot in the neck, but she'd also been shot in the side and in her groin area. During the investigation of the property, they noticed the front door had been open. They didn't have to break down the door when they came in. They found, quote, no obvious signs of forced entry, but there was a bloody footprint near Lindy's body. They saw that there were drawers and cabinets throughout the house that had been opened, as well as they found a pillowcase that had stuff from the house in the pillowcase, but it was still in the house. And some of the things that were in that pillowcase were leather chaps, a model car that was a collectible, quote, multiple black nitrile gloves, and a black net gaiter. So it's like these aren't the things that you steal. Gloves and a gaiter. Well, a net gaiter. I don't even know what a net gaiter is. Gaiter. And who steals leather chaps? I guess the leather part of it, but I could understand the collectible model car because that could be sold for a lot of money. So police interviewed the people who were at the crime scene at the time, including Lindy's husband, 49-year-old James Rummell, and the neighbor who had placed the call. James said he had been over at his friend's house doing their taxes, and then he went to pick up takeout with his friends. It was him and two other people, which one of them was a neighbor. So they went to pick up some takeout food and then brought it back to his house, James's house. But when they got in the house, that's when he found Lindy lying on the ground. James also said that his 2001 black F-150 truck with Washington license plate C73655Y was also reported missing. So police said, that was stolen. So initially, police chalked it up to an apparent home invasion and burglary. They figured since everything was left behind, that weird stash in the pillowcase, since the intruder had left that behind, he figured maybe Lindy had interrupted him, surprised him, he murdered her and ran out. My thing is, though, as my years as a true crime podcaster, can't match the years on the force. But either way, I'm going to give my opinion. My thing is, though, the shot to the groin, that would have thrown me off. Because I could understand, you surprise me, I shoot, I guess accidentally get you in the side. If the person is a cold-blooded killer, shoot you in the head, but then what's the groin about? You know what I'm saying? You did what you did, and then you run out the house. Maybe you're still scared, but what's the groin shot about? Because that's usually something very personal. But they had nothing else to go on, so they just said it was a burglary and moved on. Now, even though they'd moved on, other people didn't move on. And on March 24th, the major crime units received a tip about a potential murder suspect. This tip that they got led it to the arrest of 55-year-old Darrell Riley. When they went in search of Darrell after the tip, they actually took the SWAT team and they found him at a bus station and arrested him. He didn't put up a fight. He was very cooperative and it went without incident. Now, here's the tip from somebody who goes by the Book of Kai. Singing like a bird. They said they picked up their friend, Darrell Riley, in Monroe. When the friend got there to pick up Darrell, they saw him transfer 2 long guns and other things into his truck. Then he turned around and set his truck on fire and then told his friend, okay, let's go. As they're driving down the road, the friend is like, dude, what the I would have asked the same question. I'm not even lying. I don't know if that's a question he asked, but you know how I play out these things in my head. So he was like, dude, what was all of this? And Darrell said that he had been, quote, hired to kill a woman and shot her 5 times with a .25 caliber handgun, staging it to look like a robbery. Because as you well know, if you're going to commit a crime, what do we always say? Tell everybody you know and everybody you don't. Keep as much evidence on your person and around your person as possible. So his friend was like, oh, yeah, really? Okay. So tell me more about this story since you want me to think you're a cool guy. I want to hear more about it. And, you're going to be my coolest friend. And that's going to be a story that we tell around the fireplace for years to come. But, keep talking. So the guy kept Darrell talking. And again, this is just in my head. I don't know if that's what happened. Dropped him off wherever he was going to be dropped off at. And called 911 and sang like a frickin' bird. In that tip, he told him about the truck. He told him the quote that he, quote, hired to kill a woman, blah, blah, blah. And he told them that, we're going to say allegedly, since the case is still ongoing, that James Rummell, remember James, Lindy's husband, who was at a neighbor's house doing their taxes, had approached Darrell about 10 months ago with a plan. The plan was to kill Lindy, and Darrell would get $35,000 once the insurance had been paid out to James. He would give him $35,000 and a motorcycle. The tipster also told the police about details matching the murder, like how many times she was shot. And like I said, he told them about the .25 caliber. So basically the caliber of ammunition used, which is not something that they had put out to the public. So this person, look, MVP. They took a page out of the Kai's handbook of I'm not the one. And I also like the fact that the person probably said, when you refer to me in the news report, make sure you list me as acquaintance with a capital, not a friend. Because that's what they had all in the news report. It said acquaintance, and it also said tipster. So they said, make sure if you're going to say, anything about our relationship, I was an acquaintance. I was not a friend. Look, I understand. I wouldn't want to be associated with a murderer either. The sheer stupidity. So in the now reopened case, police interviewed James and they interviewed Riley. And that's when they found out that James and Riley were actually friends. James had met Riley in prison while serving his sentence in connection with a kidnapping and robbery incident. He said that he had last seen Darrell over the summer. So when investigators went to James, now it's his turn to be interviewed, and told him about the story that they had heard, he said that he did drive to Eugene the day before the murder to see Darrell, and then they decided to go for a drive. He said he brought Darrell to Clark County and eventually dropped him off in the Hockensack area. He said then he thought Darrell was going to take public transportation, like the bus or the train or whatever, back to Eugene. So police said, well, we interviewed you after the murder at the house, and you didn't tell us any of this. Why did you leave all of that out? And James said, quote, he thought it would look bad that he had Darrell find his own way back to Eugene. He declared his innocence and that he never knew anything about the murder or Darrell's involvement in it. Quote, it appeared that James had driven to Eugene, picked Darrell up, and brought him back to Clark County earlier in the day before the murder. It appears James may have solicited Darrell to stage what appeared to be an interrupted burglary to commit the murder of Lindy Rummell. Investigators were also able to find the stolen Ford F-150 in a rural part of Benton County, Oregon. The vehicle had been damaged by fire, and investigators said that the fire had seemed to have been set intentionally, and it seems to have been set with the intention to destroy evidence of the killing. Darrell was arrested, like I said, and he's being held on a temporary felony warrant for murder in the first degree. And he's going to remain in custody in Oregon while Washington is seeking the extradition. After all of this, the interrogations, the interviews with the tipsters and anybody else who wanted to come forward, going out and finding the truck and everything like that, investigators got a second search warrant to search the Rummell home again. This time when they searched the home, they found that the couple had, quote, numerous accounts open with banks and payments due from various companies or loan statements. They also found that James had been receiving unemployment in 2023. And when they asked James about it, he said, yeah, he's been going from job to job to job to job a lot recently. And that's how come he got the unemployment. James was arrested and booked into the Clark County Jail for making false statements to a public service. Investigators said that additional charges are possible because he is being considered the prime suspect in this murder. Quote, we do consider him a suspect of being involved in some type of conspiracy for murder for hire. James has maintained his innocence and he is still being held without bail. When I searched for more information, I did see that he ended up getting a charge for being an accomplice to first-degree murder and accomplice to first-degree burglary. Darrell appeared in court from the Clark County Jail, and as he's in court, he's seated in a wheelchair because, sympathy. And his defense attorney, Angela Avery, told the judge that, Judge, he's sick and suffering from congestive heart failure, so take pity on him. She didn't say the take pity part. That was just mine. And as she's talking, this is what's playing out in my head. The deputy prosecutor, Chris Glinsky, is looking down at the paperwork, seeing his current charges and his past charges. So when it's time for him to speak, he stands up and he tells the judge, Darrell has a lengthy criminal history dating back to the 80s, and he has prior assault convictions. Congestive heart failure and, wheelchairs. And I don't know, you may want to look at this document right here. So they're still going through everything with both Darrell and James. And James is actually due in court. His trial is scheduled for December 2nd. So that's something I have to be on the lookout for. What did y'all think about that case? And the poll question is, do you think that James solicited Darrell and it was true that he'd give him $35,000 and a motorcycle? Or do you think Darrell just stopped by his house, said, hey, let me rob you of some chaps and gloves and murder your wife, and then tell everybody that I know and everybody that I don't that you solicited me to do this? So which one do you think it is? Do you think James is guilty or innocent? Basically, that long thing to ask. Do you think James is guilty or innocent? And I will have that poll question out. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a lamb. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here on whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you are on Spotify, go ahead and become a follower. If you're on Apple, do the same. And don't forget that a free and easy way to help Love and Murder out is by simply sharing this episode. So as you know, we're sharing it with everyone we know and everyone we don't. So go ahead and share this episode with your best friend and also share it on one of your social media platforms. I'll say if you use Facebook, go ahead and share it on Facebook. If you don't use Facebook, then go ahead and share it on Reddit. And that is all I have for you today. And I will see you in the next episode. Edit in Kai here. You can hear how loud my AC is. This is why I've turned it off in recording. But anyway, I just realized that what this pillowcase had in it was supposed to look like the intruder broke in. He brought this pillowcase with all his gear to rob the place and got interrupted and left it there. I'm sorry. That was the dumbest plan that could have, that's why it didn't even register with me while I was recording. I thought it was they were pretending like they had started robbing the place and then they left the pillowcase there. That's why I was like, what were they stealing? Gloves and a gator. And I realized what a gator was while I was editing, and chaps. But then as I was putting it together, it's like, oh, the kind of stuff that a robber would have. So you're telling me a robber came to somebody's house with a pillowcase full of this stuff and just left it. That was just, oh my. Anyways, bye.